the first thing I did was I went through an old dictionary and I pulled out the page that had the word earth in it. Then you cover up all the other words except for earth and its definition. And I'm just mixing some blues, greens, and whites, and I'm not even rinsing my brush off in between. I really want this to look like the Earth, our planet from far away. And you can see the atmospheric clouds and storms. So it's just a nice, wispy, easygoing, twist your brush here and there. There's no mistakes with this. Just have fun. Go with the flow of it. And the brush is fairly wet. So dip your brush into water and the paint and just move it around. Now I'm adding earth-like tones. So earth can be dirt, and that is the other meeting. So I'm throwing on just a darker brown and a tan and mixing it on the page and then fading it out. As my paint runs out, you can see that it gets more see-through on the edges. Here we are going to start adding her face. So a basic oval is what you want to do. This is just real loose again, and I'm letting the earth color shine through at this point, putting a little bit of a pointed chin. But basically we're drawing with paint here. Now if you feel more comfortable, let everything dry and then sketch first. Placement of eyes is in the middle of the face. Not the eyebrows, but the eye itself. And there's basically about 5 eye widths across a face. Now here we're building the eyebrow, and I'm just using a dark brown for this whole thing. And then the lighter tan, and you'll notice I did not rinse my brush. I put lighter tan down the bridge of the nose, and then I just blended the 2 of those colors out for the forehead. And that's how we're going to do the whole face, just blending those 2 colors. Now we're going to shadow along the nose just on one side and round it out a little bit. Pretty simple shape, sort of like an L but rounded. And then you go in with a lighter tan underneath the eyebrows to the eyelids where they would be. Still did not rinse my brush. And how you decide whether you're going to use the light tan or the darker brown is you think about your face. So the light colors are going to be where our face is protruding out. And of course, then the dark colors are where it's recessed in. And everywhere else, you can just mix the two and blend them out. And it's okay if you go too dark in an area, then you're just going to add lighter tan to it. It'll take a couple layers before you get the look that you're going for. Here I'm just working on some shape, trying to get some darker shadows under the nose and under that cheek line. And at first it looks like she has a beard, but don't worry, you're going to blend it out. We're going to put the cheekbones in there. That will be the lighter tan also. And here I'm going over the nose again. You have to let it dry a little bit in between as you work. If you go right on top of a wet area, then sometimes you remove your paint, so you don't want to do that. Just have patience and work in one space at a time. Here you can see now the cheeks are starting to get a roundness to them. She's having shape. Mouth placement is halfway in between the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin. That's the center mouth part that we open our mouth, not the lips. So the opening is halfway in between, and then the lips are around that. And right now I'm still just using that tan. I'm not adding any redness to that, no pink or anything. I'm just working with those basic two colors that we started with. And we're going to start to build some shadow underneath the chin, and that creates more of our neck region. If you show an ear, which I wind up covering up, the ear will be the top of it at eyebrow length, and then the bottom is kind of equal with the nose. Everybody varies on this, but if you place an ear in between those 2 points, you will be fine. It will look realistic. Again, still using the same two colors, and I'm starting to build her hair here. When we're building hair, we will have the height where we need to have the brain. So some people don't put enough of a height on there when you're working, but you need that for your brains. So don't be afraid to go a little bit higher. We're switching to a small brush for details. And I'm just dotting some white on either side of the eyes. And then I'm going with the real dark blue that we used for the earth tones, the background, and I'm just following that all the way through that upper area. So this is the iris that I'm concentrating on, and the edges, the inside edges of the eyes. And then while that is still wet, I'm taking my lighter blue and I'm just squiggling it back and forth a little bit. with that blue, I'm figuring out where my pupils will be. And then I clean my brush off a little bit and I brush out that white. I'm going to add an arm here that's coming up. So I learned to do arms and hands by looking at myself in a mirror. So you can stretch your arm up and see how it acts. See where the lines should be. And hands, I start to form them like a mitten shape. And then I separate my fingers. But look at your own hands, look at your own arms, and then you'll get it. Just blending out our two colors and working to cover up that blue and also put some highs and lows, darks and lights. That will give it more shape, add a lot more lightness to the top of the hand. Again, just blending it out. Then I might have to let that dry a bit before we touch it up. And we're lengthening the fingers here. Use your own hand as a model. You can loosely paint in the fingers that are behind the two. Okay, we're going to start getting some color here where her body would be and her shoulder. Now I'm measuring the face against the hand. Measure your own hand against your face and see where it goes. If your hand is bent, most likely your palm of your hand is going to touch your chin and the fingertips are going to go right about eyebrow length. That's what I was measuring there. If you do that, you'll begin to see a pattern of how long things should be. So also the bottom of the arm separated by the elbow is the same length as the top of the arm, not including the hand. Getting ready to add the hand, we have to put the darkness behind it, so I'm just using that darker brown. And then again, looking at the shape of your hand and really doing that mitten thing. So picture it as a mitten, it's so much easier. And my fingers are going to be close together on this anyway. So if you're going to be observing your hand, concentrate on the thumb and the hand shape itself, not so much the fingers and where it would be highlighted. So here it comes towards you, so you need that lightness. We're just going to add some seeds. There's light brown and dark brown on there on the same brush. And we're going to cover her body with push down, pull up technique. So that will create some leaves. Dotting some other colors in here. You could also use the back of your brush for this part if you just want dots. And then you can use some white over top of your dots to just drag through that paint. And it looks a lot like a flower. Simple strokes though, don't work it too much. Now I'm adding some pink and color into the lips, and we'll also add a little into the cheeks. Finally, let's add some highlights. This is white and tan mix, so I just put a little white on there with my tan. You can still see that I had a bit of red on my brush and that's okay. You'll want to touch up certain areas on here, on the overall effect. When it dries a little bit, you can put more layers on the skin. You can put more layers on the leaves. Right now, the hair's pretty dry, so that's why I'm working with that. Here she is, completely done. Now, some of this is just a really simple double-loaded brush. And I'll show you how to do that. Just white, green. You can twist the excess off, and then you can just dot them next to each other, and it becomes a vine. You really don't need to draw the vine part because you have the look of that. So that's all this is. In through there and around her head. And of course you can spend more time and put more details on. But I like her. Earth Mother. There you go. Have fun.